Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Today we've got a pretty cool build. We're going to restore a Johnny Lightning Stiletto. Now this car was from the original Topper series and was released in 1970. Now the long, tall, sweeping fenders is kind of reminiscent of a car style called the Manta Ray. Now, the Johnny Lightning cars are, let's say what they are. They're pretty eccentric. Their designs are not like the typical muscle cars of the Hot Wheels or the Matchbox, etc. But these are die-cast cars. They were extremely fast going down the track, and they still deserve a place in our die-cast history. I happen to like them. So let's go ahead and get started with today's restoration. I've gone ahead and drilled out the post. Now the posts on these cars are very short and they're also very narrow, so you definitely have to use the 1-72 screws. This car is magenta, or a type of magenta, and we're going to go ahead and try and restore it in the same color. Now these cars are also very simplistic. We do have a tire missing. I happen to have a few. If you decide that you want to restore one of these Johnny Lightning cars, you're going to need to make sure that you got some replacement parts, because there are hardly any parts available for these cars unless you buy another car that you can cannibalize in order to have your restoration parts. You may come across some occasionally, but they're incredibly expensive. Windshield's in good shape. We just need to polish that up a little bit, and we'll go ahead and get started with this classic restoration of Johnny Lightning.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
Here we've got the car. We're going to dip it in the embalming fluid. Now, I'm going to dip the car in there, and I'm trying to keep my citrus strip or my paint stripper clean. So, it's just something new that I've started. Some people dip it in there and leave it in there. I did that in the past, and I probably still will do it in the future. But I got this tray that I like to put it out on. That way there, if I happen to glance over and look at the tray and I see the car is stripped and ready to go, I can get on it immediately. So that's why I started doing it this way. Let's let that set for a while. Alright, we got it out of the citrus strip. Now we're going to use the flitz and we're going to polish this bad boy up. Now there was some toning on the car, and I did take one of those abrasive wheels on my Dremel and buffed it up some. Now we're going to polish it up. Like I said in the past, these cars are incredibly simplistic. Just take your time with the polishing and your metal will turn out fantastic, especially with using this Flitz polish. It's a wonderful product, and besides the Blue Magic metal polish cream, I love using the Flitz. I like the paste type polishers and cleaners like that because they tend to stay in place a lot better. Now the liquid kinds work, but I like the paste kind a little bit better. And don't be afraid to use 1 or 2 polishing bonnets on these things. Now I've used this bonnet for probably 2 or 3 cars, and right after this car here, it's going right in the trash bin, and we're going to put a new one on there. But don't be afraid to get rid of your old stuff and put a new one on there to make it look that much better. This is looking really nice. Now, if you get to another part there where you feel like you need to polish it up some more, don't hesitate to bring out a little bit more of that Flitz and bring it down there and put it on and polish it up and make it look that much better. This is going to look really, really nice. This is really starting to look sweet, and the finish on here is going to be beautiful, especially when I put down that layer of Spectre Flame Magenta on there. I got this battery-powered Dremel for Christmas from my mother-in-law, and I use this tool almost every single build. Now, here's a tip for you today. If you happen to be looking for something like this on Amazon or whatever, look for the Reconditioned Tools. These are ones that have been returned to the factory for one reason or another, and they go through and they fix it up. But you might be able to get an $80 Dremel for $40. And it'll save you a bunch of money, and they're guaranteed from the factory, and they work just as great. This is your tip today from your Uncle Paulie. Let's go ahead and move on. After we cleaned the car and scrubbed it down with wax remover and degreaser, here we're going to spray it with the Spectraflame Magenta. And this paint is absolutely beautiful. Try and get all the hard to reach areas first, up underneath the fender wells, etc. And we're just going to put on a tack coat. And that just gives the rest of the paint that you put on something to hold on to so it doesn't produce any runs. Now, again, just a light coat on the car and then let it set for approximately 10 minutes. Now, the more color you build up, the darker the color is going to be. So, again, you can make it darker if you want to. You just got to take your time. Don't try to put it on all at once because, again, it'll flow down to the bottom of the car and it'll collect and it'll produce runs and it won't look that well. Let's let it set for a few minutes and we'll get back to it. Okay, it sat for about 10 minutes. I think actually it was more like 15 because I had to go do a few things. But now we're going to put some heavier coats on. Again, hit those hard to reach areas first to make sure that your fender wells are coated very well so you don't see bald spots underneath the car. And then come in and put some really nice heavy coats on without producing any runs. That's the key right there, folks. Look how nice this Spectraflame Magenta is working. Now I'm using this paint that I got from the Redline shop, and there'll be a link in the comments to go to the Redline shop, but also you can go to www.redlineshop.com and any of the paints that they have will work on any of the die-cast cars that you're producing. Man, that turned out sweet. Let's stick this in the cabinet and let it dry till tomorrow.
Waiting for the paint to dry.
While that paint is drying, let's go ahead and address the base. Now, the remaining wheels that I had on there, they're in pretty good shape, but I took them off just to clean them up a little bit with soapy water. Here we're going to put the base in a mixture of Lime-A-Way and water, and that's a 50-50 mixture. Let's go ahead and let that set. It'll sit in here approximately 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. I've sped this up to 4 times the speed. Now this one isn't as active as a lot of the other cars that I've put in here. Plus this is a brand new batch of Lime-A-Way and water. It's definitely attacking something because it's bubbling up. Okay, at 4 times the speed, this has been approximately 3 minutes, so let's go ahead and take it out and scrub it down with a brass brush. This will help you get any remaining tarnish off there, and it will clean up the car. Now once we're done scrubbing this up, we're going to put it in the sink and we're going to scrub it down with hot soapy water and a toothbrush just to get the residue off there. Make sure you get all the little nooks and crannies so it doesn't look like it's got spots on it. Sideways and front ways and back ways and angle ways, and get all that tarnish off there. Now notice how I am wearing a glove. I should be wearing 2, but at least I'm wearing the 1. And also when you're using this stuff, make sure that you wear your safety glasses, because those little bubbles of the Lime-A-Way will fly up into the air. And also be sure not to have any of your other cars or your paints or anything around there, and I don't mean your paints, but your cars that you've painted, because this stuff will fly, and if it gets on that really nice finish, it's liable to damage it. Looking good. Let's get this scrubbed down with soap and water. Now, here's the base, or the body. That beautiful Spectraflame Magenta paint. Here's the base that we cleaned. That looks excellent. Windshield's in really good shape. We'll be able to put that back in. Now here's the tires after I cleaned them with hot soapy water, and all 4 of them look excellent. Let's go ahead and put this together, and let's have our reveal. Here's what we started with. A Johnny Lightning Stiletto from the Topper series. Again, this was released in 1970. It's got a lot of paint missing, a lot of flea bites. Looks like somebody took a marker to the roof of the car, and there's a wheel missing. Again, if you have to rebuild one of these, or you want to rebuild one of these, just make sure that you've got another car to be able to strip for parts. And eventually, parts will hit eBay and like that. But if it's cheaper to go ahead and buy a used car or a scrapper car than just buying the individual parts, go ahead and buy the scrapper car. You'll never know what you'll be able to get out of it. Plus, you may have it for other future restorations. But this car, like I said, is pretty eccentric, and the car is very simplistic. There's not many parts to them, but they still deserve a place in our history. And here's what it turned out to. Look at that beautiful magenta paint. The paint job turned out phenomenal on this car, and I'm gushing over it because it turned out really super sweet. My friend, Mac Reagan, he publishes books on the diecast subject, and he's got a great book out on the Johnny Lightning cars, especially the older ones. And it's really good to see the history of these cars and how they started and where they are today with the Johnny Lightning folks. And the cars today, or the detail is phenomenal, and they do some beautiful, beautiful work. But again, these older cars, they deserve a place in our diecast collection, and I'm really excited to be able to put this car in my collection. I just happened to get a hold of a Johnny Lightning poster a few days ago, and it's got a list of all the cars that were made for the first couple years of Johnny Lightning, and I plan on getting all of them and restoring all of them and having a really cool collection. I got a Patreon page. Join the team. You'll be helping out my YouTube page by helping me with my supplies. Now, all the donations that are made go towards the supplies. I don't put any in my pocket. It helps keep the YouTube channel going. Now, what you'll receive: see videos at least a day or more in advance. You'll have personal advice from me for your own diecast hobby. I'll be available for video one-on-one help if you need it. Prize drawings once a month, exclusive custom offers only available to members, and many, many more offers. So please become a member of the Patreon team. I'd like to thank my current Patreon team members: Grim Reaper Level, William K7 Robinson, Dale Johnson, Ed Ostrander, and Richard Reese. Fantastic folks. Thank you guys so much for your help. Mortician Level, Jake Rademacher, Ray Berger, Air Warrior Coffee Company, Ricky Montalvo, and Jason Warren. For Funeral Director Level, Double B's Customs, check out his Facebook page. Diecast Sheriff, he's got a great YouTube page, check it out. He's got some great videos. And Dave Christensen. Gravedigger Level, Aaron Murphy, Leroy, Andrew Hitchens, John Sellers, check out his YouTube page. Bob DeNice, Les Jenkins, Wade Hendricks, Trevor DeViz, Grizz Flowers, Bearcat Designs 3D Printing, check him out. Chris Decker, Keith Kripe, Johnny Hicks, and my little buddy William, Stacy Wright, Ryan Goldstein, Richie Ramos, new member, thank you so much. Ralph O'Neill Jr., Michael Oxley, John Homan, thank you gentlemen so much. Paul Bearer Level, Mr. Gary Tasker, thank you so much, sir, for your generosity. My hearse drivers, Jim Silva, check out his YouTube page. Richard over at Michio Woods Garage, check out his Facebook page. He sells a lot of Hot Wheels. If you got something you're looking for, check him out. Mr. Daryl Begtel, a really good builder. Ronald Raby, Tony Hughes in the UK. Stephen Terrence, Diecast Pirate, Pin Tony, Scott Turner, and Mr. Pete Langford. Guys, I can't thank you enough for your generosity and your help on the Diecast Graveyard Patreon page. If you want to be a member, go to the link in the comments section. Join the team today. We'd love to have you be a member of the team. This video is brought to you by the Redline Shop. The Redline Shop offers a complete line of decals, tools to take your car apart, put them back together, replacement hoods, replacement glass, those beautiful Redline tires, and of course, the world famous Spectre Flame paints. Fantastic products. The Redline Shop at www.redlineshop.com, where Redlines come to life. I want to thank you all for joining me here today at Diecast Graveyard. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up and put some comments in there. Now, like I said, I know that you might not be a Johnny Lightning fan, but look at the content that we're putting out here as far as how to do the paint, etc. like that. Just because you don't like the Johnny Lightning car doesn't mean you should give it a thumbs down, all right? It's a labor of love to restore these cars and to have a really good time doing it. And I put the content out there for you, not necessarily the car itself, but the content that I'm putting out there to help you with your diecast hobby. My name is Paul with Diecast Graveyard. We got a lot of things coming out. I just hit 4,000 subscribers, so we're going to be giving away the prizes in the prize coffin. So that's going to be fantastic. I look forward to it, and we'll see you in another couple of days with a new video. Take care and cheers.